Hey, hey, it's me, Max Agad. And listen, it is time to talk about some things today. It is, it really is. Now, we're going to do things a little differently today. Just trying something, okay? Just trying something. I am going to record a podcast and then I'll post this also on YouTube. We'll see how that works out. It's just me today, no guests. So never fear though. Maxie's here and I have some things to talk about. All right. So let's kick it off with a little disclaimer, maybe. I'm not sure what word I want to put in there. A little explanation. Let's do that. A little explanation of how today's episode might run and might be a little different from those in the past. So, first of all, I wrote down what I want to talk about today. And I'm a pen to paper girl. To be honest, I like a pencil and paper girl. I have notebooks all over the house with stuff written in them. And so, because of that, two things going to be going on here. If you're viewing this, then you'll see me look down at my notes. Okay. If you're just listening on the podcast, then you'll hear the papers. You hear that right there? That's papers. So you'll hear me pick them up like I'm going to do right now, straighten them up, and then you'll hear me turn the pages. It's okay. It's okay. No big deal, right? Because one thing for sure is we're not about perfection. Okay, we're doing the best we can with what we have. And today we have my written thoughts. So let's get into it. Let's just go. So there is something I want to talk about today, though. Have y'all seen the news article? I think it's WBOY. I'm not sure, but it's floating around on Facebook, the mighty Facebook. It is about this 80-foot tower in the Mon Forest. It's a fire tower, 80-foot fire tower in the Mon Forest, right here in Webster County. Listen, it's being converted into an overnight tourist attraction. All right, let's go. That's really something that got my attention when I saw it on there. So it's being converted into a place where you can stay overnight. They'll have an RV pad at the bottom if you don't want to go up and stay in the tower. The bathroom is on the ground, okay, but there'll be electrical outlets and such in the tower, according to this article. Again, it's 80 foot in the air. Okay. Beautiful views, though. Absolutely, we'll have beautiful views. But let's just get right to it. It's a hard pass for me. Absolutely not. Not even giving it a second thought. No thanks. Thank you. However, I'm the minority. That opinion is not shared by many on the Facebook. Okay. A lot of people are excited about it, man. They're stoked. So it will be ready in 2025 and people cannot wait. I'm not one of those people. Now, what I will do though is enjoy the pictures that people share of the beautiful views. Okay, share it. Because Maxie, not going to do that. My first thought was, what are we doing about bathroom trips? Okay, so I listed that on there, and a lot of people offer different suggestions. No, thank you. I'm just going to go ahead and look at your pictures when you go for your overnight stay in 2025, and you can share the pictures with me. Okay. All righty. So, what do y'all think? You guys staying? You going for an overnight? Yeah. Yeah, I'm not. Okay. So, moving right along, I want to talk about something. We're going to talk here. It's a funny subject. Here's the thing, not funny, haha, but funny as well. Okay, interesting. We're going to talk about talking. We're going to talk about listening. What? What in the world? So I wrote, it's kind of like an essay. It's a story. I tried to just do an outline, and that way I could just talk to you as the thoughts came, but I didn't want to do that. I want it to be organized. I wanted to flow appropriately. So I wrote it. So here we go. Y'all ready? If you're driving, go ahead and turn it up. Get excited. If you're YouTubing and you're watching, go ahead and get you a Pepsi, maybe a little popcorn. Let's chat it up a little bit, okay? So listen, I can remember when I was in school. Yeah, it was a few years ago. But the teachers would often tell me, like, you're talking too much. Now's not the right time to talk. Save that for the appropriate time to talk to your friend, like at recess or free time. On my report card in the comments section, guess what it said? Go ahead and guess it. Talks too much, very talkative. If some of them were trying to be nice, they're like very friendly with others. It would also say, though, talks while the teacher's talking, too loud in class. You get it. You get the picture, right? You get it. So, anyways, when I was in like middle school range, maybe fifth, sixth, somewhere in there, I don't remember the exact age, but we were called in for a meeting with the principal. And when I say we, I mean my parents and I called in for a meeting with the principal. What? So we went. I mean, and the complaint from the teacher was along the lines. Now, I don't remember it word for word, but along the lines of um, Maxetta's personality is too strong, too aggressive. She tries to control the classroom. I mean, so my response was naturally, someone had to because you weren't. What? Why did I say that? But I did. So here we go. We're in the meeting now. Okay, we're in the meeting. Mom, dad, myself there. Oh gosh. So the teacher at the time said she won't stop talking. She continues to interrupt me and the other students. The principal paused after hearing what the teacher had to say. It was silent for what felt like forever, but it wasn't. It was just a couple minutes. I don't know if it was a couple minutes, but it felt like a long time. So during that silence, like my dad looked at me. He didn't really give me a mean look. He just looked at me. I just sat there nervously waiting, like what's going to happen? Because I really wasn't like I wasn't like a troublemaker. I'd never been to the principal's office before. Anyways, uh, just then, after like my dad looked at me, I was sitting there, what's going on? It was just awkward silence. The principal, Mr. Ezel, said, she has leadership skills. I've noticed them, but she just needs to know when and how to use them. Ooh, I smiled ear to ear. Like to me, that was music to my ear. Mr. Pack did not smile. He was not in agreement with what the principal had just said. My dad kind of chuckled, and my mom quickly said, she may have leadership skills, but she has to be respectful in the classroom. Now, again, was it word for word? I'm not sure. My mom and I were talking about this story, and that's what she remembered saying. No, you have to be respectful in the classroom, Maxetta, to the teacher and the other students. Now, did I mention my mom's a teacher? She was a teacher. She was a teacher at the school at the time this took place. So she's all about let the teacher be the teacher, Miss Maxetta. Anyways, the meeting wrapped up, and I don't remember the exact ending, but I do know this. My mom made it clear that I was the student and not the teacher. My dad laughed and said, sis, listen to your mom. And Mr. Pack reminded me daily he was the teacher, not me. Okay. So I share that story to let you know that I have always been a talker. I know that's shocking. I know some of you are surprised. But you can imagine someone that's always been a talker and a yes, and yes, over time, I learned when to speak and when to hold it in until recess. But I will say, even in high school, in Mr. Scarnato's class, he put me outside in the hallway Well, I just talked to the people in the back of the class, Stacy Williams and some of them back there. I just kind of pop my head in and out, or whoever's in the hallway, or sometimes I'd take a little stroll down and visit Stella and Janet. Anyways, you can imagine though how hard it is for a talker to suddenly learn she needs to be a listener. What? Ooh, okay. So I started learning the importance of being a listener somewhere along the way. Now, this was in my adult years, okay, and probably more recent than not. I don't remember exactly how I was introduced to this. I don't know where this unknown territory of being a listener was first introduced to me. I don't remember if it was a podcast. I don't remember if it was a sermon, a book I read, a video clip. I don't know, but I just know it was introduced. And I remember when I first heard the concept of being, excuse me, a good listener, I was taken aback. Like, what? Everyone knows how to listen. Do they? Because it definitely was not one of my strengths. So when I discovered this being a good listener and the pros of being a good listener, it took me a while to buy into this concept. Okay. It definitely took me a while, but I knew immediately it was an area that I would benefit from learning and growing in. Now, I'm still very much learning and still very much growing in this area. I mean, that's true. But what I've learned about this, learning to be a listener or being a listener, is it takes a lot of self-control for a natural talker. It takes a lot of self-control. It takes restraint. Maybe it could be even viewed as a discipline. It is a discipline to, when you want to talk, not to talk. Okay. For me, it is. I mean, it takes effort. Now, granted, the longer that I'm practicing being a listener, the easier it gets. But make no mistake about it, it's effort taking place. Okay. It didn't come to me naturally. It took and it still takes intentional effort for me to be a listener. Not only was I, and I still am learning to listen, but I'm learning to listen and not be preparing a response or an answer when that other person is talking. Does that make sense? Like when someone's speaking, instead of already formulating my response or my answer, no, I'm actually listening to them. And then after they finish, I'll formulate whatever needs to be said, if anything needs to be said. But while they're speaking, I'm listening to what they're saying. That was tricky for me to grasp for a long time. It also, in this process that I'm learning to be a listener, that when listening to another person, it gives place for the other person to not only be heard, but to be seen. It also frees me up to not always have to have something to say. I don't always have to be able to fix it or give my opinion or fight to be right. I don't have to know it all. I don't have to come up with any words of wisdom. I get to listen and learn. It's a weight off. It is. And people can laugh at that and chuckle. I do. It cracks me up. But to be able to listen and learn and not feel the weight of, I have to say something, I have to say something to make a difference, it's pretty freeing. It really is. So anyways, to continue on, I've learned, and I'm continuing to learn, uh, to listen to humans, as I'm learning to listen to other people, it has definitely sharpened my skills in listening to God, right? So God doesn't waste anything. And so in preparing me and sharpening my listening skills with other people, ultimately, it has shaped me to be able to listen to him, to hear him. You see, even in my relationship with him, in the past, I've always done all the talking. Talk, 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 talk. And that didn't leave room for me to hear him. And that cracks me up now that I think about it, because here I am talking it up. Just talk, talk, talk. Now he wants to hear from us. Definitely commune with him, talk with him, have a conversation, right? But a conversation goes two ways. You talk and you listen. One of you talk and you listen. It's the same with God. I had all the noise, all the chitter chatter, and I couldn't hear him. So as he was shaping me through learning to listen to humans, he was ultimately preparing me to listen to him. I love that. That is so good. It's so good for me. And, I hope it is for you, but I like being a listener. I don't have to have it perfected just yet. I certainly don't. I may never have it perfected. But I do know that the more I listen, the better it makes me. Now, listen, here's something funny. The irony does not escape me that I'm talking about being a listener while trying to find my voice in the podcast world, on YouTube, and on different social media spaces. But I mean, isn't that just like God, right? It's hilarious. So, what the enemy tried to use for harm, he tried to shut my voice down. He tried to not necessarily shut my voice down, but make me use it at inappropriate times. He tried to do everything but get me to listen to others, because he knew that that would be part of listening to God. But isn't God good? Like he's like, mm-mm. So what the enemy meant to use for harm, God uses for good. And it is my hope that as I use my voice to share about being a listener, that it will encourage others, to learn to listen, and that we will be able to make each other seen and heard, and we'll know that each other matters, right? So as I'm starting to wrap it up, maybe, no, really, I am starting to wrap it up though. I just want to reiterate, I don't have either one perfected, speaking or listening. And again, I probably never will. But I continue to put the work in to be the best I can be in these areas. It does make it easier to know that perfection isn't required. Not here on this podcast, not on the YouTube channel, not on any of my social media, and ultimately, not even with God. Perfection is not required. I love that. So here are my thoughts, so there's my thoughts for the evening. Be a listener. And in James 1:19, it tells us to be slow to speak and quick to listen. It's part of that verse. Isn't that something? Be slow to speak, quick to listen. I didn't know that for a long time. And I'm still work in progress. But there you go. There's some thoughts to think about. I challenge you, maybe throughout today or whenever you listen to this the next couple days, when you're in a conversation with someone, or even when you're in a work setting, maybe dealing with a client, or I'm thinking of my one friend, she's in a courtroom often. Think about how you're listening. How are your listening skills? Do you hear what other people are saying? If I could go back in the younger years of parenting, it's something I wish I would have learned then, all the way up till now, especially if you're parenting teens and adults. Learn to listen. Learn to listen. You don't always have to have a response. You don't always have to have an answer, but learn to listen and learn to listen to God. His voice, his ways, his character will become more clear to you as you learn to listen. All right, that's it. That's what I have for today. I'm not going to edit this, so you're getting it, mistakes and all. You're getting it with paper sounds, with clearing throats, with maybe me repeating myself, but you're getting me. And I hope that you have listened and taken something away from this. But thanks so much for joining me. And we're going to be talking about some things throughout this winter. So let's do it together. Let's go. If you like this, share it with your friends. And please, if you can, wherever you're listening, go ahead and rate and review the podcast. Now be kind and be generous because I'm learning. I'm doing the best I can with what I've got. So yeah, come back each week and join us. And if you haven't listened to previous podcasts, go back and check them out. Something is for you. All right. Have a good one. Go on out there and let's do good and do truth and do right today. We can do it.